Thank you everyone for joining again to the 13th Annual Bushwick Film Festival's first ever virtual movie industry conference, and it's presented by Broadway Stages and Heard City. So are we ready for the next one? Let's do it, right? So we are bringing aboard our three amazing panelists for this amazing panel. It's going to be a conversation with our BFF alums, and it will be moderated by our talented and very own founder and CEO, Koibe Koti. So we have Katori Hall, creator of Stars, P-Valley, Ronaldo Marcus Green, the director of the upcoming movie from Warner Brothers, King Richard. And Kitty Green is in the house, director of Hulu's The Assistant. Shall we see your faces, please? Yay! Hi, Kitty.
How you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Beautiful. Hi, Ronaldo, how are you? We are waiting for Katori.
And stand by. I'm going to see if I can help Katori come to stage. And also, we're going to have Koibe come join us as well. So
Perfect. Thank you so much for your patience. I know we were running a tad bit late. We are so lucky to have you here. While we are while Katori and Koibe is joining us, everyone, please do remember, don't forget, our amazing filmmakers for Bushwick 2020. You can watch all their films at watch.bushwickfilmfestival.com. It is a secured streaming platform sponsored by our amazing Spectrum. So don't forget to do that. And with that note, Koibe, take it away, please.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Koibe Koti. I'm the founder of the Bushwick Film Festival. I'm so excited to be here today with three incredible BFF alumni. I'm such a fan of all of your work, as you know. It's just exciting to have you here. We wanted to be able to talk with people who were in the festival at some point in the career and is doing amazing work, what they're doing currently. So of course, your three names, I was like, Joseph, who's our director of programming, I was like, can you get these people to work with us this year on the panel? I know you all are super busy, so I really appreciate you taking the time to come out and talk to our current filmmakers who are hoping to get where you are today. So to move on, if you can all just tell us your name and the film you had in the festival, and then a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Sure. I'll jump in there. Hi, everybody. I'm Katori Hall. Hey, my fam. I can hear you guys, talking, chatting, even though it's all virtual, right? Yes, hello. So the film that I had in the festival was, I think it was the 2017 festival, if I'm remembering correctly. And it was a short film called Aqua Butler. And it was the first time that I had, directed anything. And it was just such a profound experience to debut it at the Bushwick Film Festival. And so, fast forward, I am trying to survive a pandemic. I am trying to survive intense social transformation, go vote. The same things that you guys are doing as artists, like really just trying to make it. But in the midst of that, I have been very blessed in a year of, I would say, extreme darkness and complication, in that I premiered my first television show, P-Valley. And so I'm about to go into season 2 with that, in the midst of just trying to figure out how to balance the craziness of TV production with other projects that I'm interested in moving on to.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Ronaldo.
Hey guys, Ray, I think like Katori, also trying to survive the survivor pandemic. Yeah, I think I was at the festival, I want to say 2016. My memory is a little fuzzy at the moment, but I was there with a film called Stop. It was my film school short. I went to NYU graduate film school, and premiering around the corner from your house. I live in Crown Heights. I'm currently out in LA, but I live in Crown Heights. So it's really great to have a festival to have your film there and have local support of your movie. That was really special. So I'm really happy for you guys and grateful to be back. Fast forward, I made a couple of films since then, and I'm currently in production on my third feature film. It's a studio movie and it's crazy. There's 200 people on set with face masks and shields, and it's pretty intense, but it's a lot of fun. I know we're one of the lucky ones to actually be back in production, so I'm just grateful for it. And obviously just trying to stay safe is the most important thing for our actors and our crew and everybody involved with the production. So I'm sure we'll get into that at some point, but yeah, just grateful to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. I can't wait to talk about all the things you're doing right now. Kitty, let's hear.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, you cut out.
Sorry, I put the mute on by mistake, but yes, I can hear you.
Got it. Hi, I'm Kitty. I had a film, I'm not even sure what year it was. Maybe it was like 2012.
I believe it's 2012.
Yes, it was a long time ago. And it was a feature-length documentary that I had shot in Ukraine called Ukraine is Not a Brothel. And I had since made a few docs and some hybrid docs. And last year I made my first fiction feature film. So I've kind of gone on this bit of a journey over the last little while, but yeah, I'm happy in fiction. I'm staying in fiction, I think, for the minute. So yeah.
That's amazing. Can you tell us what's on Hulu right now?
Oh, my film, The Assistant, is on Hulu right now. You can stream it. It's it's lovely. It's got Julia Garner from It's Lovely. I'm like trying to pitch it at you guys. You should go watch it. It has Julia Garner from Ozark. You might know her as Ruth on Ozark, and she's an amazing, incredible actress and a lovely human being. So it is kind of a story of her day in the office. One day in her life, she works for a predatory film executive, Weinstein type figure. So check it out.
That's amazing. The last time I saw you, it was right after the festival, and I think we had coffee in this like little coffee shop in the East Village, and I think you were like leaving to go back somewhere. Those were brighter days when people could like meet up for coffee and just like talk about film. But it was really cool that year to have your film Ukraine. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is something different. So yeah, thank you all for joining us. I want to let's go into P Valley, Katori. I just want to talk about that a little bit. I was following the premiere on Stars, and I was like on the chats. I was on your Instagram. I was like following the whole story, and it was so fun. It was so fun to be there and to see like P Valley on Stars. It's such a different like experience. The music, the people, like what's his name,
Uncle Clifford.
Uncle Clifford, to see Uncle Clifford on there, it was just like, it's such a vibe. Can you talk a little bit about creating P Valley, working with Stars, how you got it to get to the network?
Sure. So the story of P Valley, oh Lord, it starts over a decade ago. In that, I'm a young woman from the South, a Black woman from the South. And what's very weird about my coming of age experience is that we go to strip clubs on the weekend. Like, it's just, no matter if you're a woman or a man, you go into the club. And so when I would go into those spaces, it was just so complicated. I would see that these women were able to kind of carve out a space of liberation for themselves, even though they were operating within an exploitative space. And in that, they were creating this art form of exotic dancing and pole dancing. And I did not see.
I think Katori is frozen a little bit. Hopefully she gets back soon.
Let's see if I can help her out at all, but we'll be back.
Like these women, just
there
like,
we go.
Is that good?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay, cool. So, I just grew up knowing that it was a very vibrant culture and an important culture, and that, a lot of people have, established entire careers out of the strip club space. And so fast forward, I'm trying to take pole dancing classes and I can't do it very well. And in that moment, I realized like, this is the way in to tell this very complicated story, not just about, women who dance for a living, but, a story that really delves into all of the isms, whether it is sexism or racism or classism, but just using the lens of a strip club and this culture to be able to do that. And so I spent 6 years researching. Actually, I interviewed over 40 women, visited clubs all across the nation, but concentrated mostly on Southern strip clubs. And all of that culminated into a play that got produced in 2015 in Minneapolis, actually. And so I very quickly learned that I had not written a play. I had written a television show because it was too much shit going on. I mean, it was just like, we had so many plots, we had so many characters. So I was like, okay, how do I honor this story that I have been working on for over 6 years? Like, it demanded to be seen outside of the theatrical space. And so that's when I ended up pitching it in Hollywood. Unfortunately, I could not even go into certain spaces. I remember HBO was like, we're not even gonna talk to you, amongst some others. And it was very hard to get people to be open to hearing this story, the possibility of the story about women who dance for a living. So eventually I was able to convince Stars as an amazing network to support me, and support me they did. They actually gave me the reins to showrun my own show, my first show. So that was, even though it was this huge gift, it was this great burden, because the learning curve is so big, to go from being a playwright in the theater where you can make a play for like $10,000 to like all of a sudden be getting millions of dollars to create this, show that's supposed to go on for years. It was such a huge challenge, but I'm so blessed that I was able to surround myself with an amazing group of people who understood the vision and really, really took care of the baby like I was, taking care of the baby. So, there was a lot. I got some bumps and bruises along the way. I tore my ACL twerking. Like, it's been a journey. But we finally made it, and it premiered to rapturous reviews. Thank God. In the midst of this very unfortunate time.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, it's just so incredible just watching the show and knowing that this was your first show and your first time as a showrunner, which is a whole different thing. And I definitely want to get back to talking to you about that. But I want to just quickly hear from Ronaldo. And, as you know, we reach out to you all the time, right? Like every year we're emailing Ronaldo like, hey, what are you doing? Can you join us? What are you doing? And like recently we were talking to you about Monsters of Men. And then now, can you talk a little bit about your transition from Monsters to what you're doing right now with Warner Brothers, which is like, oh my God, the people that you have attached to that. And as you guys just heard, there's like a 200-person set, like with all the bells and whistles. And Monsters of Men was more of like a little bit of it was a big film, but it was like definitely not what you're doing now. So can you talk a little bit about that premiere and then like how you got from there to King Richard's?
What's the abbreviated version? Yeah, Monsters of Men was my first film. Obviously, it was a passion project. I wrote it out of film school. It was essentially my thesis. And I was going to make that movie. It was one of those, like, I was going to make it for $30,000 if I wasn't going to get the money. And somehow the money came through and we were able to make it. And then since that premiere, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know how to make it to February that year financially, because it had taken me 3 years to make that movie. And the first opportunity that came up was a TV gig in London called Top Boy, and so I ended up doing that series, doing the first three episodes of a series in London. That was an incredible experience because it was a big jump from what I was doing, and obviously I had more resources than I did on my first film. It was my first foray into television. I didn't think I was going to do TV. Like any first-time director, I thought I was going to write my next movie and start that process. And so I was on the set immediately, right after making my first film. And it's been a little trend with me that I haven't had too much of a break. So I'm not complaining, but it is one of those things where I haven't had time to like sit. And straight after Top Boy, I literally handed in my edit, and I ended up doing a feature with Mark Wahlberg called Good Joe Bell, and that was last year. And that'll come out in theaters the top of next year. And then literally same thing happened, handed in my cut, and King Richard happened. And so it's been sort of a learning process, but I guess the good thing is that I never really got off set. And so I kept the rhythm of working as a director. And it just kept getting a little bigger and bigger. And I think that each experience made it a little easier to kind of go into the next one. Working with Mark made it a little easier to work with Will. I knew what it was like to work with an A-list actor and know what the crew sizes would be, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. That being said, I think the fundamentals are relatively the same. In some ways, I had more freedom on my first feature than any of the films. It was mine. I wrote it, and I think that freedom of being the writer allows you to move in a way that you can't when the words aren't yours, and then the negotiation of how you work as a director and how you negotiate with actors or the writers or the producers or about how to keep your vision on the screen are the things that we're working on now. But it was an incredibly fast journey. Again, I didn't get a chance to blink, and I'm here, and I know how fortunate I am to be a working director, especially coming out of film school. And just a few years ago, Monsters and Men, as I mentioned, was my thesis film essentially, and I graduated with the script, and I could not have done, could not be where I am without those steps, and that included the television stint. And I think I learned the most on that particular show because I think that was the largest stamina. I think that was 4 or 5 months being on set every day, and what it's like working with an international crew and a brand new crew, brand new DP, brand new everything, and kind of walking into spaces, kind of learning a lot and learning quick. And I think that's obviously helped, and it's been an asset kind of moving forward, is being able to adapt, and especially given where we are as a world and how free we're, or lack thereof, especially being on set, and the communication is so different, and the crews have gotten larger and larger. But yeah, I think the fundamentals, like I said, remain the same. Being able to talk to actors, work with people, everybody's game to be there. The professionalism is there, and yeah, it's just that it's a beast once you start getting into 200-300 people a day on set. There are challenges, of course, and especially when you're wearing a face mask and a shield, it makes those little communication things a little bit more difficult. But everybody's game to get this one in the can and stay safe. And we could talk more about COVID protocols if you want to know that. I'm becoming an expert on what it's like to work in COVID. So.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah. That's when you were talking about the 200 people crew. I was like, wow, how is that possible? But and is there any fear on set? Like, are people like going home like, I might get sick or?
No, I mean, I think yes. I mean, you can tell folks that are less, who are, looser with their personal COVID, fears than others, and you have to respect everybody's process. And for me, it's just working with the comfort level. Of course, I have to interface with way more people on a certain day. And on a 200-person crew, you don't really see those people. They're mostly invisible. You've got half of them, at base camp and traffic control, and so good crews are able to disappear very, very quickly. I think the hardest thing is hair and makeup and last minute. And they're wonderful, but it's like, get out of the set, like I have to shoot, it's every time you think you're ready to go, you got 10 other people jumping in and doing last minute touch. I mean, I'm like, makeup, I don't want any of that stuff. I didn't ask for it, but of course you want it. And it's one of those things that, I'm glad that I have it, but kind of slow up the process sometimes. I'm used to that film school run and gun, and those things,
Mm-hmm.
those days are over. The days of taking an extra and upgrading them, like, wow, I love what that person's doing back there, just move them over. It's like, no, we don't have the testing protocol. We can't move that person from zone A to, I mean, from zone C to zone B, or zone B to zone A. And
Yeah.
so there, you know, certain things in the way that I used to operate, very similar. I had a, you know, sort of doc background, and just shoot, you know, just go. Like, just shooting, that doesn't exist anymore. And I kind of miss that freedom a little bit of just grabbing stuff. And so those are the things that I think I'm obviously learning as it gets bigger, is just more prep, more planning, more, you know, you have to plan stealing stuff now in a way that you could have just stole stuff before. You know, Monsters and Men, we stole so many things on my first film, and moments that just happened. So it just makes it a little challenging, because it, you know, it's a ship. It's like moving a Titanic versus a speedboat, and especially with COVID on top, it makes it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing all that with us. I know we have a lot of filmmakers from this year's festivals in audience, and a lot of the people that listen to our panels are, like I said, emerging creators, and some people on the panel also are festival speakers. So they've been through around the block a few times. So Kitty, let's talk about, you know, what was it called? The casting of John Bonet, was that the Netflix film you had? Yeah. So yeah, that was incredible. When I saw that Netflix picked it up and it was from you, I was, you know, I'm always like cheering on the sidelines from the Bushwick Film Festival. We were all like really excited. Can you tell us a little bit about that process? And then, you know, as Ronaldo did, go from there to the assistant to Hulu, on Hulu.
Yeah, I studied fiction filmmaking. So I went to film school and made narrative short films, and then I graduated, and I was, you know, 21, and I was thinking, who's going to hire me to make fiction movies? So I kind of found my best way forward for me was I got my little DSLR, like a little camera and a little audio recorder, and I started making docs just on my own, finding subjects that interest me and kind of traveling around, figuring out like what I was interested in. I landed in Ukraine. My grandmother's Ukrainian, so I went and found a kind of crazy topless feminist movement. It was kind of pre-Pussy Riot. They were like, you know, really wild, and kind of, so before all the Ukrainian kind of, everything that's going on, the conflict, etc. So I started shooting with them, and I made a feature doc with them. And that did quite well. And so I kind of I stayed and made a short film that was really kind of an experiment. It was like a casting tape type film. And it was just auditioning little girls to play Oksana Bayul, who was a Ukrainian figure skater. And it was kind of, we thought, we're trying to look at the war and children and how the conflict was affecting the children. So we were doing this kind of dramatic exercise with drama schools, essentially, that seemed to work. And it won Sundance. This little short I made won the Sundance Prize. And then at Sundance, everyone was like, how do we make a feature with this concept? And I kind of, without even thinking, was like, oh, same thing of JonBenet Ramsey, who was like a child who was murdered in Colorado. It's a really horrific case. But I hadn't kind of thought through how that would be structured. And then I almost, like, people were so excited by this weird idea that I then had to kind of I remember sitting on the plane, like, reading everything I could about JonBenet Ramsey, trying to figure out how to make a narrative out of it. So we made this kind of bizarre doc feature, got some financing for that, and then Netflix ended up buying it, and then it ended up being this kind of huge Netflix original thing, which was kind of terrifying because it was this circus of a movie that we were just like put together kind of wildly together with kind of a group in Colorado, like a group of actors, and it did quite well. So that gave me kind of, because of that, even though I got like a lot, it's a bit provocative and I got a lot of, it was tense, but we got through. Because of that, I was able to just kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. And I was on the film festival circuit, and there was a lot of, honestly, I'd seen a lot of like bad behavior. I'd heard a lot of stories about misconduct, and this is pre kind of the rise of the Me Too movement. So I started looking at that, how I could talk about what was going on, like that I could see and that we all knew was happening, and we all knew these kind of Weinstein stories, but no one was really speaking about them publicly at the time. So I started kind of chatting firstly to college students in the US, because in college campuses were the places that those conversations were being had at that time about misconduct, assault, gendered environments, these sorts of things. So I started there. The Weinstein story broke. I shifted focus and started chatting to ex-Weinstein staffers and people that work for similar kind of predatory men about their workplaces, how gendered they are, how what is stopping women from getting into positions of power in these companies is essentially my kind of line of questioning. And so everyone will kind of go through, well, I have to look after the children, where the boss's children, whereas my male colleagues are getting it to sit in on meetings and getting kind of promoted quite quickly. And so that all of these stories became the screenplay for The Assistant, which is just one day in the life of the kind of youngest female at that company and what it's like to kind of go through, to be kind of close to this powerful man and kind of aware that his behavior is sinister and there's something wrong, but not being able to prove anything, kind of the complicated nature of that position. So yeah, that became the film. I wrote that film. Nobody wanted to finance it, of course, because they say like Hollywood loves movies about themselves, but not this one. Like it's not kind of the ideal. So we ended up kind of cobbling together financing and made it very cheaply. And kind of like Ronaldo was saying, we were like doing very like run and gun, like on the weekends, my cinematographer and I would like stay back and shoot all the cutaways and close-ups. And so we would constantly kind of like stay later, doing like 16, 17 days.
It's the Bushwick Film Festival.
But yeah, somehow pulled it off, and it's on Hulu and you can see it, and yeah. So yeah.
That's amazing. I have my own questions, but everybody's here to ask questions. So I'm going to hold my few questions, and I'm going to jump into the audience questions. And I see. I'm going to start with, what was the most important skills you learned working on your first feature? What was the most important skills that you learned working on your first feature? We have a few questions, so yeah, I'm going to try to get through as much as we can. But yeah, what was one of the most important skills you've learned working on your first feature, to all of you? I'll start with Ronaldo.
I would say prep. When you're doing a short film, of course you're writing and it's part of the school project, but having the amount of prep time to actually really go through the scenes and to do it the right way. I never knew the importance of prep until I got into my first movie, and I think that really changed. And I always had that get there early, stay late mentality. So it wasn't something that I wasn't willing to do. I just didn't know how critical it was going to be, and especially in those late hours, and really knowing where we're going to be, knowing where cameras are going to be, because that's where you lose time, especially given the crew sizes and people knowing where they're going. So I think prep was significant for me in really learning that. And of course, who your critical crew members are going to be. I think having a great line producer, having a great AD, your cinematographer. So just knowing and kind of vetting those crews really, really sharply. So I think, yeah, I think it was just a rude awakening how critical prep was, at least given the first feature. At times we weren't as prepared as we should have been, and certain scenes suffer for it, and we had to lose them. And you don't really, if you don't get it on the day, you don't get it. Nobody ever said, oh yeah, we'll go back and you never get it. So it's one of those things that get it on the day, push through no matter what, make sure you're making your days and that kind of thing. So yeah, if you think, oh, let's do sound at the end of it, nope. It's just, you have to get it, and you have to get it then, you have to get it there. Otherwise it just it falls into no man's land, and you don't get an opportunity to get those back. So yeah, prep is everything. It's one of those things, you can never have enough prep. That was a great learning lesson on my first film, and moving into every other film is really protecting that time. And that includes blocking rehearsals on the weekend, rehearsal time with actors as much as you can. If you can't get it, Zoom World is really getting out in front of all of those things as much as possible. You would never go on a long trip journey without a GPS. So just really thinking about those things. And of course you can veer and you can change, and you can do lots of things once you're in those situations, but at least having the plan that you then rip up, I think is important.
Thank you so much. And Katori, what do you think about this question, or what's your response?
I mean, for me, I guess I'll shift it to, instead of a feature, first time showrunner of a TV show. And for me, what I learned that it's less about writing or being creative and more about managing souls and kind of being a therapist. And what I mean by that is that it's like, you know, the showrunner position in TV is almost akin to being the mayor of a small town, where you have to inspire all of these people and these, you know, all these different departments, and you have to make sure that everyone has the vision that's inside of your head, inside of their heads. And so I did not know that there was so much kind of pitching. Even after you pitched your show and sold it and you're making it, you still got to keep on selling the idea and the vision to all parties involved. And I'm not even just talking about production heads, I'm talking about the transportation people too, so that everyone feels as though they are important in the process, because quite frankly, they are. Even the people who are getting everyone coffee, they are important, because there's this huge organism that is coming together and moving towards this galaxy that's actually only exists in someone's head. So I just thought that it was always going to be about writing and picking the right, you know, nail color, but it ended up really being more about, like I said, it's inspiring people towards a creative goal, a common creative goal. Uh-oh.
I was saying that's a good perspective, and to have in your mind, like, you're managing souls, that really makes the gravity of what you're doing, like, it really like captures how important that role is. So thank you so much for that perspective. Kitty, what do you think about that question?
Yeah, I think it's having a good team, honestly, that you trust. I have a really good producing team that were on the last 2 movies with me together. We worked as like the 3 of us produced together. So I knew, this is like going to sound silly, but I knew if they're in the meeting, I don't need to be in that meeting, because I trust that they're going to make sure that every decision keeps our crew safe, is fair, do you know what I mean? They're going to look after like the interests of the movie over anything else. And the interests of, like, you know, the crew and the cast. So but I'm moving on to a new project which they're not attached to, and I'm suddenly realizing, oh, I have to be in every meeting because I don't know this team, so I don't know where, like, I don't know who they're looking after, what their interests are. You know, I'm always a little skeptical at first, or a little like. So I must say, having the right team, a team that you've had a historic kind of a relationship with, really helps, and just it makes you can concentrate on what you need to concentrate on and not have to worry about a lot of filmmaking is logistics. It's like, how do we get from this location to that location, and how do we move from here to there? And it's sort of stuff that if you've got the right people, you can kind of just focus on what you need to make the movie the best it can be, kind of thing. So yeah, gonna go with team.
Thank you. Trusting your oh wait, I was like, am I muted? I don't know. Trusting your team, those are all like, yeah, that's big, because I feel like creators or people that are used to independent films like you guys are always so used to doing everything, and then when you get to the level that you're on, you actually can't do everything. So to be definitely like surround yourself with people that you trust, people that you know that you don't have to be in the meeting with them to make sure that the production goes smoothly. I'm going to keep on going down to the questions. Hopefully we can get them all. So Katori, this one is for you. This is from Gina. Some questions are anonymous, but this one is from Gina. What was your decision to do theater? I don't think I'm saying this correct, but what was your decision to do theater before film? I'm looking to make this move. What are some experiences that kept you motivated? And for those of you who don't know, Katori just came from an amazing run of Tina on Broadway. Rest in peace, Broadway, for now.
I know.
So yeah, can you hop in on that question?
I think for me, and this is sad, I just felt like theater was more accessible to a Black woman. And then I look back and I'm like, did I really think that? I probably should have did it the other way around, but I digress. And so, you know, the shift that happened was just kind of like a shift that was necessary, where, you know, to make theater, like I, you know, was joking earlier, like, you don't really need that much money. And even though, you know, one can argue that you don't need as much, you know, money to make like a small short or, you know, a kind of run and gun feature, but you still need more money than you need for theater. And so it was that thing of wanting to use the theater space as a laboratory and as a home to grow and hone my storytelling skills. And the fact that I'm the type of writer that really, really, really loves actors. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I started out as an actor, and being able to be so collaborative from jump when it came to my scripts. Like I even think about the P Valley, which used to be called Pussy Valley. And I was able to bring on Nico Anand, who plays Uncle Clifford, on the first page, because I would have like these Monday night meetings where I would bring actors into my house and we would like read like pages, like hot ass pages, like truly fresh off of the printer. So theater just felt more like home to me. It felt more like family. And I have been very blessed that I've been able to shift into film. I haven't done a feature yet, but you know, been able to do shorts and music videos, and now into TV. And I've kind of taken that sense of what I call family into that space where, and I think that's why I think of running my TV set is like kind of running a city. Like I think of these people as this community that has come together, you know, for a specific goal. But at the end of the day, I look out across, you know, the lot, and I'm like, you know, these are my sisters and my brothers in the struggle. Like we all trying to just make sure that this is done, you know, right and with grace and humility, but also with excellence. So, you know, I will say, coming from the theater, that's kind of where I get my habit of excellence from, because I was forced to do it oftentimes on a shoestring budget. So quite frankly, like I was saying, it just felt like you know, as a Black woman who did not always have those resources to make film and to make TV, theater was the right move for me.
Yeah, yeah. And I just want to also comment on when you were having, right before Tina on Broadway came out, I saw like such an inspiring video of you talking to your crew. And I was sitting there like, oh my God, like tears. And you know, you could just see it, and it sort of like connects to what you said, that you are managing people's souls and like your crew and all that, and just like how you feel connecting with the artist. And you know, it was just so inspiring. And I think what you're saying can be seen in how you work, you know, and things that are coming out about you. So that's awesome. All right, so we are gonna keep it moving. I think we have one for Ronaldo. Can you go, wait, let me see what the first one is actually. I think we kind of already went through the first one already. So the second one is, can you go into what drew you to the story of King Richard?
Oh yeah.
I mean, what didn't draw me is probably it's amazing. I mean, it's Venus Williams, Serena Williams, you know, and their Genesis story. It's an incredible opportunity to follow two of the greatest athletes of all time in any sport. And then also through a perspective of the father. I grew up with my dad, who was my biggest fan and biggest supporter. And I had a previous life as a baseball player, and I thought I was going to make it. So I spent many hours, many hours on a baseball field. So I knew what it was like to be a competitive athlete all the way through college and almost professional. And so I had a very similar upbringing. I was born the same year as Serena. I'm nowhere near her, but maybe in film, maybe one day we'll see. But you know, that's the goal. You know, in terms of being like that. And I have an older brother that's a filmmaker, and we kind of have very similar paths. So when I read the script, it was like I was reading my own life. And in some ways, I connected to the material even more than the feature I wrote with Monsters and Men. So it was sort of a no-brainer in terms of the actual story. You know, Will Smith was attached when it came to me. It was Warner Brothers. It was a huge opportunity. And so, you know, it was all on the page to be taken. And I think what was so special about this story in particular was that, you know, we see Venus and Serena on TV, and we assume that we know about them because of what we see in, you know, on the trades, and it's a really great window into who they are, how they grew up in Compton, the things that they had to face, the adversity, the fact that they come from a super well-rounded family. a very strong mother figure, older sisters that were equally supportive of their journey. I mean, their older sister picking up tennis balls for them, and out on the court as many hours as they were. So it was a full family affair, and it's just so special to be a part of that project. So again, it was a no-brainer. It was just a matter of like, yeah, there's no way I'm going to get it, but I'm going to try, and here I am. So you know, a little bit of luck, a lot of bit of hard work, and just trying to position myself in the right place. And I think, had I not gotten the feature before with Mark, I don't think I would have been in the position to do that. But because I had sort of had that sophomore feature already under the belt, it made the package a little bit more attractive in terms of saying, okay, I know how to work with an A-list actor, I know how to get a performance, and what I can bring to the story on a personal level, I think was key to getting the job.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it is all on the page, right? Like, who doesn't want to work with, tell a story about the inspiration behind Venus and Serena? When you say, oh wait, actually, sorry, let me go back a little bit. So you are the first Black director that is working with Will Smith, like that's directing one of his films. Wow.
What? I'll take it.
That's what, sorry.
Take it first.
Maybe I need to Google that, but somebody says on here, word on the street. So, you know, we will fact check that afterwards, but I think that might be true if anybody is on Google right now. If that is the case, and that might be true actually, because, you know, the level of where Will Smith is, and when it comes to working on big budget films like that, like we all know that people of color directors don't ever really reach that level. So what does that mean to you, especially just like from your career, and especially in 2020 with all the reckoning that's coming with you know, inequality, racial justice, and the opportunities for people of color to get where you are?
I mean, obviously, it's a testament to my parents, and I'm lucky, you know, to have had the foundation that I had, you know, to be there. And I think, you know, if you work hard, you can do those things. And I don't know, I just feel lucky, I guess, lucky to carry that torch and carry their legacy and do the best that I can to, you know, to do right by that. Obviously, I think it's special if I can inspire the next generation or the current generation or the future generation. I think that's always what we're trying to do every single day, not just with the films that we're doing, but how we conduct ourselves on set, how we conduct ourselves with how we do our jobs. So of course, that's, you know, it's an honor. I mean, there's no other way to look at it other than it's special, it's cool, it's rad. I feel, you know, I just I feel lucky. I don't want to drop the ball now. Now you've got to work even harder, you know, for that. I think, look at, you know, as an athlete, I always had that competitive nature. I think it's just something that I grew up with, and I want to win. I don't even really know what that means. It's not like an awards thing. It's just, I want to win each day. I want to make sure that the crew is happy. I want to make sure that the actors got what they wanted. I want to make sure that everybody's like leaving with that feeling of inspiration, like, you know, the way Katori talks about, you know, rallying souls. Like, I hope that people come onto my set and say, I never want to work with another director. You know, that's the goal. And it's no disrespect to anybody else out there. It's like, I want to provide the, you know, it was one of the first things Will said to me was like, I hope you never want to work with another actor after me, that my set is that good and that you feel that good. And I think it's just such a testament to how you stay relevant for 40 years, you know, is continuing to provide that kind of environment. And it's not just some days and you get to take off on Thursdays or Wednesdays after lunch. It's constantly getting better and learning and growing and doing things different and making it fun and surprising people. It's really nice that it's, you know, you can do it when it's not somebody's birthday, you know, you just get someone flowers on a random day. I try to do it in my personal life as well, as much as I can. You know, not the best husband, I'm working on it, you know, and I'm trying to be a better father. And I think that if you can push yourselves in your personal life and think about it, you know, it was another lesson from Will. He said to me, you know, you would never come up to an actor and not say great take, right? But at home somehow you wouldn't do that at home, right? You on set is the same way you should be in your household, and it's such a, and it's like, wait, of course, right? That makes sense, but I don't do that, you know. And it's like it is something important to constantly remember that, like, we're human beings, we make mistakes, but we have to try our best to, you know, create an environment for people to be successful. I mean, that's what I feel like. I feel like hopefully in some ways I can be, you know, invisible in some ways. You know, you allow the actors to do what they do. You give them the freedom. You allow crews to feel like they can contribute and be contributing members, from the drivers to the PAs to the people that do that. They, like you said, there's nothing like a warm meal. People will work for free if you create that environment. They will 100% do anything for you if they feel like they are really a part of that project, and they are. And I've always felt that way. And maybe it's because the first job I ever had was working as the rat at Chuck E. Cheese. You know, like, I come from very humble beginnings. You know, I used to dance in that hot costume. So I know what it's like to work manual labor jobs and 4 jobs in college to get through it because my parents didn't have it, and take a $300,000 student loan. You know, I come from that. So, you know, whenever I'm talking to somebody else, I've done that job. I know what that job is like, and I know how fortunate it is and lucky I am to be where I am. And so I don't take any of things for granted. You know, to me, it's like, you just continue to work hard, and any little bit of achievement or any kind of first or any kind of news like that is just, it's just great. Now, how do we be the first to continue to do more and more, and keep pushing ourselves forward? I hate to answer and then have to hop, because that's an awful thing to do, because then it feels like I'm not listening to everybody else. But I'm on a location scout, and I'm getting buzzed right now to that I have to run. So I'm actually running to go on a location scout now. I hate to have to leave.
That's totally fine.
Before the answers. I'm so grateful. Thank you guys, Kitty, Katori, guys. I'm huge fans, and I know your work, and hopefully one day we will get to work together in some capacity. And I'm just, again, honored to share the screen with you guys.
Thanks, Ronaldo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ronaldo.
Okay, bye guys. Bye.
Bye. Well, I'm gonna leave this last question for Kitty as we wrap up. I know we're like 3 minutes behind schedule, so sorry, guys. The last question, and I feel like you could probably offer that to, and you know, it might be the same for Katori as well. And people want to know is, a lot of filmmakers want to work with streaming platforms, and Kitty, you worked with 2 of them so far. Maybe you worked with more, I'm not too sure. Can you tell us a little bit about what the process is working with major streaming platforms? I don't know, like the buying, the selling, like how does the network and your agent, you know, just like a little bit behind the scenes of like getting on a streaming platform?
Ooh, so I mean, firstly, casting JonBenet, which is a Netflix original, was completed before almost completed, 90%, 92% completed before Netflix bought it. So we made it our own way. We kind of sold it to them with a trailer, or like a 3-minute trailer, and they bought it out of the trailer. And then we kind of presented it to them. They said, oh, can we have some more pretty shots, like expensive looking stuff? So we went back to Colorado and shot like a few in like an extra week or week and a half of sort of good looking stuff to make it look like it was worth more money than it probably cost. So that, I mean, in that sense, they worked really well. Our film was so weird that I think they couldn't figure out exactly how to, like, there was no roadmap for them on how to give notes, or normally I think they'd come in and try and change it a little bit and try and make it fit their mold, but we had something that was so different that I think that every note they gave us was something they used for like Amanda Knox or some other true crime film, which didn't fit what we were trying to do at all. So we would like time, place, graphics and things like that. They wanted like, you know, like Lauren or whatever, it goes boom and it says like where you are, like they wanted that sort of stuff. And we were like, no, that doesn't go. So we were able to do our own thing, which was great. And then Hulu also bought the assistant outright too. So I have no experience actually creating work through those platforms. I just know if you create something that's original and cool enough and that they're interested in, they won't mess with it. You know what I mean? People keep saying, oh, they'll ruin whatever you present them. But I think they like something unique. Think they like something different. So yeah, my experience with both of those was really a good one. And I have nothing bad to say. They were really, but I must say about Netflix, I'll just say one other thing. It was so terrifying to have it on as a Netflix globally on one day. It's released all over the world. And I remember checking the Twitter, the hashtag of our film name, and getting a new review every 6 seconds by a human being. And it's so terrifying because you're just like, I made this weird experimental film for like a small audience, and here I'm getting people from all over the world, and no one takes to Twitter with like a moderate opinion. It's all like, I hate it, I love it. And so it's just a lot of hate. And so it is this very scary thing, and it's a very different thing to get used to, especially for independent filmmakers who are used to kind of showing it in a theater here and nobody coming to see it. So I must say, you have to get ready for what that means essentially, and how big that is. And it's an amazing opportunity if you can get it.
Wow, that's amazing. Katori, you know, we're wrapping up right now. Do you want to add in like your experience with working with networks?
Oh,
Or streaming platforms?
Not really. It'll be a long story, and we have to wrap up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You know, that was such an amazing and inspiring panel for me as well. Hopefully for you guys out there. Katori, Kitty, thank you so much for imparting your experience and knowledge with the festival, with the audience, and thank you for all the amazing work that you're doing. Like keep on. We're all watching what you're doing, and we all like love it, and we're so excited to be connected with you in this way. We're excited to be.
Thank you, Quebe, for your hard work and for creating this space and this platform. And you know, it's unfortunate that now that it's all virtual, however, but you know, the fact that it is virtual, you get to touch, you know, more people in terms of the festival. So, you know, you've been doing such great work as well.
Thank you, Katori. That means a lot.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's lovely to chat.
Kitty, I love your work too. So
oh, I love yours.
Bye, you guys.
Cool.
Thank you so much, everyone. It was such a pleasure having you all here. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thank you, Katori. Stay safe.